Hey everyone, it's DarkStar. So, here's what I want to talk about today. You've probably all heard the cliche, there's nothing more dangerous than a little bit of information. Okay, most cliches I think are not true. In this case, when it comes to blackjack, that absolutely is true. Okay? If you want to make a living beating the game of blackjack, or even if you just want to beat the game of blackjack, whether it be just as a hobby or because you enjoy gambling and you want to put the odds in your favor, you can't just have a little bit of information. You'll end up hurting yourself more than if you knew nothing. Okay? You could go out there and just play blackjack for fun and flat bet the table minimum, and you will lose in the long run, but you won't lose that much. And if you read books like Comp City, you might even find a way to make enough back in comps to overcome your loss, because the casino, if you play with good rules, has a very small edge over you. If, let's say, you just learn basic strategy, or even if you don't bother to learn it, just play at a place that lets you have a basic strategy card or chart at the table with you. Some casinos will even give you one for free, and just sit there and look at the chart and just play that way and take their comps. You could probably break even, and if that's fun for you, that's fine. But I hear a lot of people at the blackjack table. See, here's why I have this channel. Here's why I do this. I hear stuff at the blackjack table all the time that drives me nuts, because I genuinely want to help people, okay? But it's in my interest when I'm at the table to have these people not have all the information. It's good for me, actually, if there are a lot of people out there that know a little bit about card counting, but just enough to hurt themselves, okay? Let me give you a perfect example. Recently, I was in a casino, and these two guys were telling this story about how they were in Vegas and they found this double deck game, and it looked really good rules, all the rest of that, paid 3-2 on blackjack, and they were like, wow, man, anybody could count double deck. Let's go and we can make some money. We can kill this thing. Well, it didn't work out that way. They ended up losing money. And then later, he filled in some of the details of the story. They had been drinking quite heavily when they attempted this, okay? So that's not going to work, okay? Drinking and card counting do not mix. Don't drink and count, okay? I've heard stories from professionals that claim they can still count cards even when they're drunk. I'd have to see that to believe it. All right, I don't believe you can do it. Not when you're drunk, maybe with one beer, but not when you're drunk. Anyway, these guys clearly didn't really know that much about card counting. They know that 2 through 6 is worth +1 and 10s and aces are worth -1. They could look at these cards here, 10, 6, and a 10 for the dealer, and go, the count is -1. They could do that. But then what do they do with that information? Okay, for example, should you hit your 16 right now? Well, if these are the first cards that come out of the shoe, this is all the information that we have, the count is -1, yes, you should hit your 16 against the 10. But if there was already 3 small cards more than big cards that were dealt earlier, so let's say earlier we had a 5, a 4, a 3, a 2, and a 10, well, in that case, now we should stand on our 16 versus the 10. Now, I'm not saying you have to memorize all the indexes, but this is one that you should probably know. 16 against the 10 is a stand at anything positive at all. If you just have a running count of 1, if there's even just one more small card that has been shown to you than big cards, you should stand on 16 versus 10. On 16 versus 10, not on 16 versus 7, Okay, there is an index for that, but it is way higher than it is for 16 versus 10. 16 versus 10 is the one that comes up all the time, and that's the one time when a lot of the times you should be standing on that. Okay? But against an 8, 7, even a 9, most of the time you should be hitting that. Okay? And you can take the time to learn all those indexes, but I'm not even saying you have to go that far. You do, though, have to know more than just how to count, because let's say, okay, say the count is 8. Okay. Now what? Tough guy that said you were going to beat this double deck game, you got a count of 8. And there's only one deck left. How much do you bet? Well, a lot. A lot? Well, how much is a lot? Everything I have on me. Whoa, that's a bad idea. What if you lose that and you still have a high count? Or what if you have to split? Or what if you have to double down? Or what if you have to split and then double down? You said it was great rules. You better not be throwing all of the money on you into that last bet. Now, I've actually seen casinos hold up the game while the guy runs to the ATM, but that's not the way you want to be attacking this, okay? You want to have a plan before you start, okay? You want to be prepared, just like anything else. Card counting, it's not hard to learn how to count cards, but what takes work and practice and patience is knowing everything that you need to know to truly be an advantage player. To actually have an advantage over the casino takes more than just knowing how to add and subtract by 1. Okay? You also need to take into consideration what the true count is, which is the running count divided by how many decks are left to be played, or more accurately, how many decks of unseen cards there are. Okay? So, I don't want to go through a whole lesson now. I don't have time for that. I do have a training program, 9 modules long. I'm not here to promote that, but what I'm saying is there's a lot that goes into knowing how to be a professional blackjack player, or even to have an advantage over the house. It's more than just knowing how to add and subtract by 1 and knowing a couple indexes like 16 versus 10. There's more to it than that. First, you got to make sure you know basic strategy. You need to know what percentage of your bankroll to bet to stay within your risk tolerance. There's a thing called risk of ruin that you need to understand. And then, not only that, you need to, if you've been a player for a while, if you've been playing a lot of blackjack, just as a regular recreational player, you're going to have to go into your brain and delete some files, okay? You're going to have to erase some information, like somebody else playing wrong, quote unquote wrong, or not according to basic strategy is going to somehow hurt you. There's no math or logic to that. Him taking that extra card or not taking a card might help you, it might hurt you, it might not make any difference at all. Okay? One way to look at this is 16 against the 10, basic strategy says hit, right? A lot of players stand on that. So if you're going to get mad that the guy stood on that, and you think that that somehow affected what happened to you because you played after him, well, what if it looked like this? What if it was 16 against the 3? Now it's proper to stand. But the 10 is underneath. Okay? These are cards. These cards do not know which card is on top and which card is on the bottom. So there's no way that playing this one way or the other mathematically affects the outcome of the next hand or the next round. Okay? If you knew both cards, you would stand. If you knew only the 3, you would stand. If you knew only the 10, you would hit. But that all pertains to playing the odds for your hand. The next person has to play the odds for his or her hand according to what cards they have and what the dealer has. Completely irrespective to what the other person just did or had. Okay, so you have to erase some of these myths. Okay, if you're going to go out there and count cards, but you're going to walk away from the table even if it's a positive count because some jerk, split his 10s against the dealer 9. So what? You know what? If it's a negative count when he does that, great. Because now he's just eating up more bad cards. Okay? He's eating up some more small cards. That's what you want. I sometimes use these superstitions to my advantage and try to, it's sort of a side benefit. Like I'll split 10s if it's a positive, if it's, let's say it's a +6 and I got a pair of 10s against the dealer 6 and it's a true count of 6. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and split them. And you know what the side benefit is? People that think that messes up the table, messes up the cards, hopefully, they're going to walk away from the table and leave me with all those big cards left in that shoe to play for myself. That would be the best case scenario. Okay, worst case scenario, they curse me out and whatever. I don't care. You don't like the way I play, go play somewhere else. There's other tables, You got to get over that. So, other players at the table, the way they really affect you is sometimes they help you in a negative count. That's when I want to be real friendly, and maybe I'll just play exactly perfect basic strategy, even though I know that there's an index that says because it's so negative, I should actually hit, say for example, my 12 against 4 is a great example. Okay, anything negative, I should hit my 12 against the 4. But it tends to aggravate the other players, and if it's a negative count, I don't want to aggravate them. I want them to sit at the table a little bit longer and eat up some of those small cards. And I've only got a minimum bet out there anyway because it's a negative count. So I'll just stand on my 12 against the 4 and I'll lose a little bit of EV, a little bit of expected value. Okay, that to me is worth it because I'm paying that little bit of money to keep these people at the table a little bit longer, eat up some of these small cards, and then when the count gets high, now I'll use all the indexes to my favor. And, maybe I'll start coughing or something, or doing anything I can to get them to want to get away from me. All right? Because now, when it's a positive count, I want as few people at the table as possible. Okay, so this is just a little taste of all the things that you need to know to be a good card counter, to be able to make money at this game. Otherwise, if you have just a little bit of information, you go out there, you're going to get yourself killed. All right. Hey everyone, DarkStar here with just a quick interruption of my own video to tell you about a new Patreon benefit. Some of you are already patrons. Thank you very much for that. We definitely do appreciate that. That helps us out a lot. Some of you are paying the $15 a month for the advanced training. Thank you for that. Let me know how that's going. And anyone that becomes a patron at any level, contributing any amount, any dollar amount at all, will receive, first of all, early access to all the new YouTube videos that come out. You'll get them about a day early, but that's not the real benefit. The real benefit is you'll be able to watch them ad-free. There won't be any ads, and you'll have access to those anytime. So anytime you want to watch any of the videos that I put out on YouTube, if you're a patron at contributing any amount, you can go in and watch those videos and you won't have to worry about any YouTube ads. Alright, so just a little way that I can say thank you for your support. Thank you to everyone, whether you choose to be a patron or not, for supporting this channel, whether it be by subscribing, liking the videos, or even just watching them. We do appreciate it. Alright, back to what I was just talking about. These two guys that were playing the double deck game. So let's say they had $500 on them. I don't know. They didn't go into all this detail, right? And the count is 4. And count is 4, and they just started. So 4 divided by about 2 decks left. Maybe there's 1 round out, so it's like a deck and 3/4 left, right? So you're dealing with a true count of about 2. Well, at a true count of 2, especially in a good double deck game, the count is definitely in the player's favor. Now let's say the table minimum is 25. How much should they bet? Well, they don't know. They're just guessing. They just came up with this now. So let's say they have $500 on them. Should they bet $250? Half of their stake? That's probably going to be way too much. Not probably. It is going to be way too much. Should they bet 50? Let's say they bet 50. That's a pretty good guess. Okay? So they go ahead and bet 50. Great. All right. And let's see if I can come up with something good for them. I'm going to cheat a little bit here and just find some cards that I want them to have. All right? Well, here, we'll do the classic one, right? Let's say they have Ace-7 against a 3, right? Okay. And we got a running count of 4. Okay. Now we still have 4. Okay. All right. So, by the way, do you guys know what you're supposed to do with Ace-7? Soft 18. This is the most misplayed hand in Blackjack. That's right. You're supposed to double down. So remember, they have $500 on them. We're saying they double down. Now they're risking $100 now. Okay. And they're going to double down and they're going to take a card. All right. And we'll just give them whatever card comes out. There we go. Okay. Now they've got 13, right? So they double down. They got 13 against a 3. Well, hopefully the dealer's going to bust anyway. So the dealer turns over 11 and then 21, right? You don't think this can happen? Of course it can. It happens all the time. Okay. What happened to our count? Okay. Well, it was 4, so it stays 4. Okay. This is a perfectly natural thing that can happen. Okay. All right. And they lose. So they lost $100. Now they're down to $400 left. Okay. And they still have about the same count. So they don't know what to do. They're going to bet another $50. And this is actually relatively about pretty close to the right thing to do. Okay. Now I'm just going to pull these cards out and see what they get. 16 against a 6. Okay. Obviously they're going to stand, right? $14. Great, they win their money back, right? Let's pretend for a second the 3 didn't come out, because I got 6 decks in here. Say there's only 2. Dealer gets 11. Now they lose their $50. Okay? Now they just lost $150. First of all, do they really trust the math? Are they really going to continue to play according to the count? Okay, because the count just went up a little bit. It was 4. Now it's 5. These 2 cancel, and we got this one here makes it 5. Okay, and we got less cards left. Okay, we're down to like a deck and a half now, maybe. Maybe not quite. Maybe a little less than that, but still 5 divided by a deck and half, deck and 3/4. It's pretty close to 3. So now we had a count of 2 and we were betting 50. Now we have a count of 3. They don't know what to bet. So let's say they bet 100. Reasonable guess. Okay. They're sort of running out of money. And what if they end up, and like I said, I'm just going to pull out some cards here because I want to make this interesting. This is one of my favorite hands. Now they end up with a pair of sevens against a 7. Well, basic strategy, and if you're counting or it doesn't matter, you're going to split that. Okay? Now let's see. They lost 150, 250, 350. They only had 500 left to start with, so depending on what happens here, what if they get another 7? Okay. Well, split again, right? What else are you going to do, right? And now they get a 4. Well, double down. Wait a minute. They don't have money to double down. Right? They lost out. They lost 150 before. They only had 500. They're out of money now. So they can't even double down. Maybe they can double down for less. Hopefully. Come on, like you never seen that. Right? And maybe they get another double down. But they can't. So they just have to hit it. And then they get 17. Right? And then the dealer has a 3 underneath. And gets 20. So they lose these. And they win that one. Okay? And they got like 200 bucks left. And what happened to our account? It was 5. Stays 5. Stays 5. 4. Count as 4. But with all these cards coming out, we got just a little over a deck left. So we got a true count now of 4. They bet 100 at 3. So what are they going to do? They're going to bet 150 at 4? And bet the whole thing? Well, that's a bad idea. What if they get a double down or a split now? Which is the only way, by the way, another piece of information you need to have if you're going to be an effective card counter. The only way you have an advantage as a card counter is because of double downs and blackjacks. Okay? Double downs tend to work better. You tend to get a 10 when you double down on your 10 or your 11 or even your 9. The dealer tends to bust more. And you get more blackjacks. Now the dealer could also get more blackjacks. But if the dealer gets a blackjack, you just lose 1 times your bet. And if you get a blackjack, you win 1.5 times your bet, assuming you're playing 3-2, which I highly recommend. Not that you can't beat 6-5. It's possible, but it's pretty hard. You really got to know what you're doing to beat that game. All right, so hopefully you're getting the picture here. You need to have the whole picture. You can't just know a little bit about card counting. And I think that if I was to boil this down, what's the best lesson for card counters? Know what in the heck you're doing. Don't go out there half-baked. All right? Don't go out there with just half of the information. You need all of the information. All right, I'm hoping that this video sparks some debate. I'm hoping you guys have some questions. Please leave your comments for me. I'm going to try to gather up those comments and make a follow-up video to this to answer any questions that you guys might have. I have a feeling, because I do these videos sort of off the top of my head, that maybe I misremembered how much they won or lost, and maybe they ran out of money faster than I thought, or maybe they had a couple of dollars left, but you get the point, okay? But go ahead and point that out. Put it in the comments. We can talk about that. But more importantly, what questions do you guys have about card counting, about blackjack in general, about advantage play, about superstitions. Maybe you guys have some superstitions. Maybe you don't think they're superstitions. Maybe you think they're based on math and logic. I would love to have that debate. Put it in the comments. If you guys like this video, smash that thumbs up. Please subscribe, and if you subscribe, turn on the notifications so that you find out about these new videos like the follow-up that we'll have to this. Thank you very much for watching. If you do know what you're doing and you get out there, may the count be with you.